Welcome to That Business Show 2.0. I am your host, Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. New episodes each weekday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website, thatbusinessnetwork.com, and then on demand on iTunes and on YouTube. So I'm excited today to speak with my guest, Aaron Walker. He is a life and business coach for men and author of the new book, View from the Top. And he has an incredible story of entrepreneurship and success that began at the age of 13. So I'll let Aaron share with you this story. So Aaron, welcome to the program today.
Hey, Jamie, thanks for having me on, buddy. I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. So 13 years of age, most of us then were playing ball games and chasing girls around. You're starting a business.
Well, yeah, I didn't start it quite that early, but I did start working at 13, fell in love with the business, went to night school and summer school for about 18 months, was able to graduate at the beginning of my junior year in high school, fell in love with the business I was in. I met a couple of guys that had a lot of money because I didn't have any. I mean, like zero money. My dad was a great man, but he was a terrible business person. He taught us great character and how to have high moral values, but he didn't know anything about making money. So I had to meet a couple of guys that had money. We formed a partnership and we grew a business over the next 9 years. I was able to sell it to a Fortune 500 company when I was 27. Wow. Take a little break, and I'm thinking, my goodness, this is the American dream.
So what was that business? You passed over. What did you do? What was that?
No, I was in the pawn shop business.
Okay.
And a Fortune 500 company in Fort Worth, Texas, came to Nashville. They rung that bell loud enough, and I said, well, hey, I got to go. So I did.
Right.
18 months later, though, Jamie, it was a much different story. Robin and I had gotten married 2 weeks out of high school, right? 19 and 18 years old. We built that business, and she woke me up one day from a nap, and she said, hey, listen, I didn't sign up for this. I mean, like, you're getting fat and lazy. You've gained 50 pounds in 18 months. And I said, Robin, I don't have any reason to get up. I have no purpose. There's no meaning in my life. She said, well, you got to get your hind end out of the bed, and you've got to go open another business or start one. You got to do something. Go to work for somebody. I don't care what you do, but you got to do something. So I went back.
That's the entrepreneurial spirit. I mean, you got to keep going. Yeah.
They can't stop, right? Yeah. And so I went back, bought the company I started with when I was a child at 13 years old. We spent the next 10 years, Jamie, building that 4 times the size that it was. It was amazing. I had a work schedule to die for. I mean, like, I worked 3 days a week. My partner worked the other 3 days, and we did that for a decade. But Jamie, it all come to a screeching halt again. August 1st, 2001, I was headed to the office about 7:30 in the morning. My life couldn't have been any better. We had a vacation home. We had a great home in Nashville, Tennessee, at where I'm from and where I actually live now. I've been here 56 years. But a pedestrian was crossing the street in front of me on a major highway, did look my way and walked right out in front of me. And I ran over and killed a pedestrian. And man, you talking about your life coming to a screeching halt. I mean, mine literally came to a screeching halt that day. Decided to sell the business, retire for the second time, and we did. And we took the next 5 years off. You don't get over that. God has to give you the grace to learn how to deal with it, and he did. Robin wakes me up from another nap 5 years later. She said, all right, big boy, you're getting fat and lazy again. It's time to go back in business. We go in the construction business, and we take that to number 1 3 consecutive years in Middle Tennessee. I did that for about 9 years. I retired. And then a couple of mastermind members of mine, Dave Ramsey and Dan Miller and Ken Abraham, they said, hey, what are you going to do now? And I said, I'm going to retire. I'm going to go to the Caribbean, and I'm going to forget it. Well, Dan Miller, 48 days to the work you love, he looked at me and laughed, and he said, that won't work 90 days. You've tried this twice. It doesn't work, and you need to coach. And so Dave Ramsey invited me to do the Entree Leadership Mastery Series. He gifted me that, and Dan invited me to do Innovate and Coaching with Excellence out at the Sanctuary in Franklin, Tennessee. And Jamie, I fell in love with the coaching business. So I started View from the Top, and now we're blessed to have a number of men in our coaching practice. We have 8 mastermind groups that we facilitate. We have national and international clients, and I get to help ordinary men become extraordinary in every area of their life.
Do you work with men in all age groups, or is there certain like age? Because you always hear about that, the midlife crisis. Is that like the point
that
you?
No, it's not. Here's who I work with. I work with entrepreneurs 27 to 55 years old. We have a couple of guys that are a little bit older than that, but that's kind of our sweet spot. And we deal with guys that are startups And we have guys in our organization that do about $125 million a year in revenue. Wow. So they're very diverse in the kind of guys that we deal with. But here's the reason I set it up that way. You can always be a mentor to somebody, and you can always learn from somebody. Yeah. So I set it up to be very diverse, because if everybody was the same, we wouldn't need the other people.
You're absolutely right.
And so it's set up very, very diverse for a reason.
You know, I'm glad to hear that people that are making, you're involved in businesses 125 million and up are still smart enough to know that they can learn from others, because I don't have the expertise that you do. But right. See, I see a trend that, at least in my community, that the more successful the business owner becomes, they become more withdrawn. They don't want to give back as much to the people that are just starting. I'm not saying that's like that everywhere, but I notice it in our community, and I just wish that they would give back their knowledge and realize that there's so much to learn from everybody. How would you respond?
Well, that's exactly the truth, Jamie. And here's the thing: we don't have people in our organization like that. There's two people. There's givers and there's takers. Adam Grant wrote a great book titled just that. And I want to be around givers, not takers. I want to be around people that's going to edify and lift up and encourage. They're willing to share and have that mentality of abundance and not scarcity. And when you take people under your wing and you share and you show all your cards and you help and you train, man, there's so much value in that. And the natural reciprocity comes pouring back to you as a result of looking outward rather than inward.
And the power of a mastermind, we speak about that a lot on the program. I mean, you've got some great names there. You throw out Dave Ramsey, in the mix there. Talk to me about just the innovation that occurs inside a mastermind.
Well, here's what happened 20 years ago. Dave Ramsey and I, we started at the same time. So I was his second sponsor. For 21 straight years, I sponsored his show. I started with him when there was one radio station in Nashville. He gave me advertising to try him. And then later I said, man, people have drank the Kool-Aid. Sign me up. Right. He said, I'll sign you up, but you got to do it in annual increments. And I said, sign me up. Well, we were on a 21-year perpetual renewal, and it took my business to heights I can't even begin to tell you. Now Dave's on 700 radio stations, talking to 10 million listeners a day, and I got to watch that up close. And he's such a man of integrity. I mean, he absolutely pours into his staff and he gives value, and I watched how that worked. And so we were able to grow our businesses simultaneously. Well, if I didn't have a different filter and a different lens, because we only have one, you can only see things from one vantage point. But when you have 10 people around you on a regular basis, and we met in this conference room every Wednesday morning for an hour and a half for over a decade, and we got to pour into each other and challenge each other and hold each other accountable, give resources, give encouragement. And then oftentimes we'd have to slow people down. It's like, hold on, big boy, you can't go that fast. You got to slow down or speed up, man, push through that upper limit challenge. And we had these guys around us on a weekly basis. See, they didn't have anything to gain or lose as a result of what they told us. They were non-biased because they were not going to get anything out of it. In the counsel of the multitudes, there's great wisdom. And the enemy to excellence is isolation. And I thought, man, I can only see it one way. I've got to get people around me. And he invited me in, and I absolutely would never, ever be without a mastermind group.
What did you see in Dave Ramsey in those early years? You said you were his second sponsor, I think is what you said.
Yeah, there were 3 people in his organization.
What did you see in him that obviously propelled him, got him to, where he is today? What did you see in him early on?
Well, Dave's a hard charger. If you've listened to Dave at all, and our personalities are very similar on the DISC profile, we're both D and I. I mean, we go grit, determination, perseverance. No doesn't mean anything. We've got to go for it. And I love that about him. And when he invited me in, he called me out in a minute. He'd say, man, you can't do that. Well, I would do him the same. And he'd look like, people normally don't call me out. He said, I've allowed you to call me out. And I wouldn't do that with some people because he knew I had his best interest at heart, just like he did mine. And so I love that. I love that camaraderie. And he would say, if you want to feel warm and fuzzy, go buy yourself a puppy. If you want to get better, get in a mastermind group where people will challenge you. And I just had to get around that guy.
Well, he's definitely the pinnacle of success in the radio broadcasting business. He's right up there with all those top names and everything. And you, too, are also a podcast host yourself. And I can tell from your setup here that you know what you're doing, because we interview people all the time, and they're fiddling with their cameras, and they don't know what they're doing necessarily. But you got the whole setup there. You got the background and everything. Real quick, tell us a little bit about your podcast.
Well, I appreciate that. It's called View from the Top. Daniel Bauer is the talent in that. I actually go on the circuit of doing interviews, done about 400 interviews in the past 30 months, and I love being a guest, and I love to interview others, and we've interviewed some amazing named people at View from the Top. It's just been an absolute blast. I love to share our message. I love to share the things that we're trying to accomplish. I love authenticity and transparency. I love to be genuine. I don't want that Facebook persona, Jamie. I want to be real and authentic with people. And I think that we can accomplish that when we let that veil down and we're just honest with people and we share life to its fullest and we call people out and we help them and take them to those next levels. And that's what we try to do at View from the Top.
How do you think being a podcast host and also doing the rounds as a guest on a podcast and other shows, radio shows, helps you just grow your business in general? Because I say that on this show a lot. If you want to get noticed, start a podcast, get on those podcasts.
No question about it, man. Like I said, I've grown my entire business off the backs of podcast hosts.
Yeah.
That's exactly how we've grown our business, 100%.
Well, definitely a great tip, and it's something I echo on this program all the time, and you're hearing it from a great guest today, Aaron Walker, life and business coach and author of the book, View from the Top, of which we'll get into a lot more when we come back from the break. And again, you can learn more about Aaron at his website, viewfromthetop.com. So again, you've been listening to That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business.
Hi, welcome to Yeager's. We just want to take a minute and show you what we're all about. At Yeager's, our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring type products, hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tiles, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
Hi, Jackie Skelton from JR World Travel here. If you travel, you need a licensed professional travel consultant, not a computer. Your licensed professional consultant can get you more for your time and your money. Value for your money and experience, not marketing salesmanship. When you're sick, you call the doctor. When you need legal advice, you call an attorney. So the next time you want to go on any type of travel, call your licensed professional travel consultant who actually represents you. We specialise in group travel, family reunions, weddings, to escorting large groups or making special arrangements for the disabled. Please call 844-249-0190. We are a full-service travel consultancy offering worldwide concierge service. Air, land, sea, rivers, resorts, locally, nationally, and internationally. Remember that number, 844-249-0190.
And welcome back to That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. Talking to Aaron Walker today. He is the author of the new book, View from the Top, and you can learn more at that website, viewfromthetop.com. And he shared with us an incredible story of entrepreneurship and resilience coming back from a tragic accident that took him out of business for 5 years while he learned to cope with a tragic accident, but it didn't stop him. He came back, and he came back hard with a great business in construction and now helping others succeed through his coaching business and also new book, View from the Top. So Aaron, let's talk about this book. First off, what inspired you to write that? And let's talk about what's inside there.
Well, I've got to be honest with you, Jamie. I would be less than transparent if I didn't say at first I didn't want to write the book. My pride and ego was in the way because I'm in a mastermind group with people like Ken Abraham that has ghostwritten 115 books, and people like Dave Ramsey that's got books that have sold 5 billion copies. And I'm like, what if nobody likes my book? I mean, like, what if it sucks really bad? And I'm in the room with these guys that have knocked it out of the park. Then Ken Davis is a friend of mine. Ken's in another mastermind group with me, and he wrote a book called Fully Alive. And he said, time out. Hold on, Aaron. Let me ask you a question. I said, okay. He goes, what value are you placing on the book? How are you going to measure the metrics as by which this is successful or not? And I couldn't answer the question. He said, I wrote Fully Alive, and 17 people have contacted me, and they said, I didn't commit suicide as a result of having read your book. Wow. And he said, what if one life is changed as a result of the 38 years that you've been in business? You and Robin now are soon to celebrate 40 years of marriage, and you can help them and encourage them and change their family tree. Is that not value enough? And I said, I got to go write this book. And so I did. It took me 2 years, man. I poured my heart and soul into this book because it gave me a different reference point. I had a different filter by which the reason I was going to write the book. And so I started thinking, how can I add value? What can I teach people? And I started thinking about my life coming from a very, very poor, humble background. My mom used to teach us when we were little, you can't say the word can't. She wouldn't allow us to say it. She would say, can't, couldn't do it, but could did it all. And it instilled this great amount of self-confidence in me because it forced me to try things. And so it gave me that grit, perseverance, and determination to go forward. And I thought I can encourage and teach people to change their mindset. There were many things in my life, like the automobile accident, that I had to overcome. A lot of people would have curled up in the fetal position, never got out again. And I thought, you know what? I can't live my life that way. I can't be that husband and that dad and the leader in our community, be an influencer, if I'm not willing to pick myself up, dust myself off, and go forward. And I teach people, no matter what has happened to you, whether it has been relationship or financial crisis, you too can rebound. You can come back. There were many things in my life, like bitterness, that I had adopted, many business deals that had gone bad. And I thought, you know what? This is stifling my creativity. I've got to eradicate this bitterness from my life. And once I did that, it freed me up and allowed me and enabled me to open other businesses and be very successful.
How did you get rid of that bitterness and that, just anger? I mean, was it just... How? I mean, how was it? Was it faith? Was it just exercise? Was it counseling? What was it?
Great question. I'm a person of faith. I'm a Christian, and so I rely on God. I place my identity in Christ. It's not in tangible possessions. It's not in titles. My identity is tied up in Christ. And I thought, you know what? We've been given an inordinate amount of grace in our lives, and I've got to extend that same grace to people, whether they deserved it or not. And a lot of you are listening to this today, and you're thinking, you know what? You don't know what they've done to me. No, I don't, and I'm sorry. And I know it's devastating in many person's life, but the person that is captive is you. Mm-hmm. And until you let go of that and you forgive that person, when you quit demanding justice on somebody, then you can say, I have forgiven them. And once you reach that point, you're free. You're able to go forward and say, you may not deserve it, but I'm going to give you grace. And that's exactly what I had to do a number of times in a number of situations in my personal life. And here's the thing, Jamie, it frees you up. It allows you to go forward with your life for exhilaration, happiness, because happiness is not a trait, it's a choice. Mm-hmm. And we have to elect to forgive people. Once you do, I'm telling you, man, the chains will come from around your neck. There'll be a freedom that you've never experienced before, and your creativity will come back, and your desire to live life fully alive, like my friend Ken Davis says, is absolutely amazing. And I teach you how to do that in the book. I give reference points. We call them lean in. And they're tips at the end of every chapter. And I just talk about getting people around you, because you can't go there alone. You got to have people around you. I teach you to be authentic and genuine and transparent, because otherwise we're living a lie, right? I mean, I want one guy, one Jamie, to show up with his wife, with his children, with his colleagues, his peers, wherever he's at. I want one guy to show up. And when you do that, it's not exhausting anymore. It's not tiring. You let the ego go, you let the pride go, and then you can live your life a view from the top, an indescribable view.
Well, your passion for what you do definitely resonates through the television screen here in the studio, and I'm a big believer in inspiration and motivation. Right. I mean, I'm putting you right there right now with, like, Tony Robbins and Eric Thomas and Les Brown. I'm just listening to you, and your speech and your talking is mesmerizing. I mean, are you also in the business of talking and inspiration and motivation?
Well, we do. Well, I don't know if I'm in the business to do that.
Well, you got the voice and passion for it.
Here's what I'm in the business for. I'm in the business for changing people's life, right? It's not about the motivation. It's about a mindset shift. It's about choosing to go after life to its fullest. See, we can elect to have the mindset of fixed, right? Carol Dweck talks about it in her book, Mindset. We either have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. I'm all in for the growth mindset. The fixed mindset says, just the way it is, take it or leave it. I'm like, no. You give me enough instruction and counsel and time, I'll figure this out. I can do it. Right. You can do it too. It doesn't matter. Get away from the naysayers. Surround yourself with the people that can help take you to the heights you've never been. When people say, no, you can't do it, what they mean is, no, you can't do it. That's what they're saying. They're saying they can't do it. And I'm like, get the focus, get the people out of the way, be an inch wide and a mile deep. Quit being an inch deep and a mile wide, because you're never going to get anything done that way. Right. You need to read Essentialism, Greg McCowan's book. You're talking about getting you fired up. You will go there if you read Greg's book. It's an amazing book, Essentialism. Anyway, I need $1 for every book I've sold for Greg. I'd be rich. I wouldn't need to sell my own book.
Can you share with us some transformations of people that you've worked with? You've coached and consulted a lot of people. You've inspired many, I can tell.
Yeah.
Talk to us about some just examples of people that you've seen.
Here's the thing you got to be careful with. People think that just the financial rewards is going to change your life. I'll be happy when. I hear that all the time. When what? When the mortgage gets paid off, when the kids get out of school. Listen, I've been there, done that. 12 businesses now, 38 years of being an entrepreneur, and you'll keep moving the bar. It will never scratch the itch like you think. Here's what will scratch the itch. You turn looking inward to outward, helping other people. And I'm not saying sell all your stuff, give it to the poor, move to Africa. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying to be deliberate in helping other people, encouraging. We spend 25% of our time trying to give endorsements and helping other people to get their life to the place they want it. Jim Rohn said it best. You are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. Get people on your team and around you that's willing to help take your business to the next level. The natural reciprocity will come back in buckets. It is amazing when you start looking outward rather than inward. If you want to be successful, that's what you do. Don't hold your cards close to the vest. Turn your cards around. Mentor people. Show them. We have people come to us. I had a guy joined our group the other day, and he said, before I tell you that I'm going to join your group, I want you to know I want to do exactly what you're doing. I said, praise the Lord. Come on, I'll teach you everything I know. He's like, what are you saying? I said, man, there's millions of people out there to be helped. We have an abundance mindset, not a scarcity mindset. And he is absolutely a raving fan now. He is bringing people to us like none other. And it is that way, Jamie, in every business. You've just got to have the right mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're talking about, financial, does not necessarily make you happy. I mean, look at the path of lottery winners. They're usually broke within a few years, and some have even said it's the worst thing that's ever happened to them. There's so much more to life than, financial freedom and financial success. And you definitely resonate, all the different components of happiness and success. And like I said, your inspiration just resonates through the through this television screen. So I would love to see you speak live. I mean, you have that passion that is so powerful. Now, does your business right now, when you're working with other entrepreneurs, is it always a mastermind and community group focus, or do you do one-on-one too?
We do. I do one-on-one coaching, and I have people national and international that I coach individually. And then I also have the mastermind groups, and then we have other groups that we are funneling people into under our umbrella called Iron Sharpens Iron. Just as one man sharpens another, as iron sharpens iron, that's what it's called. And it is a life transformational experience to be in these groups. One of the things that I want to give to your listeners is go to viewfromthetop.com/book. All the pre-orders for my book, we're giving away my new book, The Mastermind Blueprint, also by Seth Godin endorsed it recently. We teach you how to grow your own mastermind step by step. Also, there's 5 interviews I do with John Lee Dumas, Pat Flynn, Ray Edwards, Dan Miller, Lee Cockrell, which was the VP of operations at Disney for 10 years. He ran a $175 billion organization. He has some nuggets that are amazing. And I'm giving all that away with people that pre-order my book, View from the Top. And you can get it at viewfromthetop.com/book. And it only lasts for a few more weeks. So if you're interested in that, I would get over there right now and get that book.
All right, we'll put that in the show notes. And quite impressive, the names of the podcasts that you'll be on. It's difficult to get on John Lee Dumas's show, and you've been on there a few times now. So even more impressive because he doesn't invite a lot of people back on the program. So kudos to you for that. So,
Thank you.
We've got to wrap up the show. Aaron Walker, author of View from the Top. Again, take advantage of that offer there. Go to viewfromthetop.com/book, and we look forward to hearing from Aaron again on a future program here as well. So Aaron Walker, thank you so much for being on the program today.
Thank you, Jamie. I had a ball, buddy. Thank you.
And again, author of View from the Top, viewfromthetop.com. You've been listening to That Business Show 2.0. I'm your host, Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business.